Production of KMmedia.pro. Welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. Our goal is simple: to explore evolving ideas one conversation at a time. So come on over into our world. I know you'll like it, because on today's show, today we are going to feature a good friend of the show. She's been on several times, but there is so much to talk about in the world that she travels in. We're talking about Amy Culler. She's the intimacy coach. So gather your friends. We're going to talk about intimacy in this particular hour. So I hope that you all will hang with us for the entire time. But first, Nathan, I just popped up on my computer that there's a a heat advisory going on.
Heat advisory. If it's not warm enough up there already, it will be by the weekend. Expecting probably touching low 90-degree temperatures in some areas over the weekend.
Oh, geez, that's gonna be warm.
That's what I'm seeing for my area down in South Seattle.
Yes, indeed. Now, I wanted to. This is a public service announcement. Please, 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 don't leave your kids. Don't leave your cat. Don't leave your dog in the car. If you go to the grocery store or whatever, it gets really, really hot really fast, and the outcome can be bad. So make sure that you take care of your animals and your kids, and don't forget your kids in the back seat. I've heard of that. I can't believe that actually happens, but make sure that you're taking care of yourself and your kids, and not leaving them in the car. Is that good, Nathan?
Well, I just wanted to point out, too, it only takes like 3 minutes, and then you start cooking in that car. And even with the windows cracked open, it doesn't escape as fast as it builds up. So, yeah, make sure that you park in a good shady spot, or just take everything with you.
Don't leave your animals in the car. That's better. They stay home. It may be warm at home, but it's better that they stay there rather than you risk their health. And by the way, a good Samaritan, if you do that, a good Samaritan could drop by and throw a rock through your window so that they can get the animal out. So
it is legal. I mean, I don't want to say it in that sort of way, like to encourage it, but I mean, people, it's happens and they're not going to get in trouble for it.
No, that's called a Good Samaritan Act, and and they're taking care of the people or the animals that could be impacted by that. So it's going to be hot, it's going to be warm, it's going to be Mother's Day, and all of that's going to be fun.
And it's going to heat up in the show in just a moment here.
It is going to heat up. Amy Culler is with us, and I want to thank Amy for being here as becoming a really trend here.
Isn't this like 3 Fridays in a row now?
It is.
I'm addictive.
She is addictive. You know, the interesting thing about that is Amy and I have been talking about her doing a regular spot here on the show, because intimacy is such a huge topic and it affects every human being on the planet. And but I had other people booked. And then 2 weeks or last week, they canceled the day of, and Amy was Johnny on the spot, and she's Amy on the spot, and she came right out and volunteered to come on. And then the same thing happened again today. I had somebody cancel, and Amy, they weren't feeling well, and so Amy is here again. I'm beginning to get the impression that the universe is trying to tell me something. What do you think?
I keep calling the people who are supposed to show up and saying, "You're sick, stay home."
They just got spring fever.
Yeah.
they got something, but I actually, quite frankly, I'm very pleased. How did I say this without irritating somebody? I'm not pleased that they're sick. I'm just pleased that I could find somebody who is as talented as you are to be on the show rather than that. So there.
I'll take any opportunity I can to help people with intimacy. You can call me at a moment's notice and I'll drop what I'm doing.
Well, that's pretty cool. And if somebody wants to get a hold of you, first of all, your website is, oddly enough, amyculler.com. And so you can go there and you can email her and she will get in touch with you, and you can start working with her and go through her entire portfolio, which is quite extensive. You do a lot of things.
Well, you know what? I've narrowed it all down to my program, which is the intimacy game plan, where I help people have intimate relationships that grow with them for a lifetime, no matter where they're at, in whatever way is right for them. It's so great. I've been doing this exact program is exactly what I do in my office, only it's better because people get to work on their intimacy in the privacy of their own privacy, at the space of their own and the pace of their own space.
Exactly. And I love the fact that you use sports metaphors.
Oh, me too.
And as an example, if you are a football fan, as I am, I find it hard to believe I actually have people that are working with me who have no idea what being a football fan is all about, or to really enjoy the game and to get in deep within it. And one of the things that you do is now, and let me give you an example. When the Seahawks play a football game, they play the football game on Sunday, but on Monday they watch film. Tuesday, they let the players off. Wednesday, during that time, the coaches are all working on a game plan. And the game plan for that particular Sunday of how they're going to deploy the team to best take advantage of their skills and to hopefully win the game. Well, and then on Wednesday and Thursday, they pass that game plan that they've now cemented into their mind to the players so that they can get an idea what the game plan is, so that they can all be on the same page. Come Saturday, they will do a walkthrough, and then Sunday they play the game. Your program is very similar in that you're putting together a game plan for how they can achieve whatever result they're interested in achieving. Would that be incorrect to say, my dear?
That is correct to say. And I also look at it, so I even approach it like this. Humans are naturally defensive and naturally competitive. And it's easier to see that when we look at athletes. Athletes are naturally defensive and naturally competitive. And they practice together so that they know how to throw and catch and overcome fouls. Because being in connection with somebody and wanting to do your best takes practice. Playing alone, playing a ball, throwing it into your hand is one thing. And it's like, yeah, I've got a ball, I've got a mitt or whatever. But throwing it to somebody and receiving it takes two people. It's communication, and one of you is an offense, one of you is the defense. And it just works that way. And sometimes I say to somebody, you need to be more offensive.
I understand completely. Now, I was looking at your bio today, and you are trained and certified in multiple modalities, including Imago, Gottman, PACT, IITAP Addiction, and something that I wanted to focus a little bit on because I know nothing about it, and that would be Tantra or Tantra. Which is it? Is it Tantra or Tantra? Or
it is exactly that. It's Tantra or Tantra, whatever. If you're Tantra, it's Tantra. We're Americanese, so it's Tantra, and it's so simple. People make things complicated. I'm here to make things simple. The word Tantra means to weave. So people will explain, yeah, exactly. So people will explain what Tantra is and all of these metaphors and confusing metaphors, just like they'll explain love in confusing metaphors. But I really like to simplify things. So the way I describe Tantra with my work is we're weaving our energy together. We're weaving into that middle space, because I talk about intimacy as the space between people. So what you're weaving is exactly that. That sound. That's a huddle sound. Those are the sounds I work with, and I get people to meet in the middle. That is your ball. That's the thing that you're playing with. And you send it back and forth. And when you do it with somebody, Like, we're going to do it together so that people can feel it, because you'll be able to feel it. When you actually do that sound with somebody, even if one person's going, and you're going, you find your own rhythm. And just like notes, tones, vibrations, they find their own rhythm. I think of it like rocks being dropped into water. Those vibrations that go between you find their own connection. Two more. One more.
And by the way, for $10, I'll record that for you and send it to you.
I get those emails that go, I listen to you and I just listen to you do that sound over and over. But those sounds are weaving your heartstrings. And that's what I say when you're making those sounds. It feels vulnerable. That's why people always go, why does it feel so weird? Why is this little sound so hard to do? Because it's vulnerable, because it's not talking and it's not action. And intimacy is in those still spaces, those still and silent spaces. And this gives you a way to communicate your moods and your pleasures, and somebody can feel you. Intimacy is that connection that you can feel. Does that make sense?
Oh, it's perfectly. You know, it was interesting. I was watching your TED Talk, and you use that a lot. And you could see in the audience that the energy that brought relaxed everybody in the room.
Exactly.
It was remarkable to watch everybody just kind of relax and
And if you watch it again, you'll notice before I walk out onto the stage and before I say anything, I let out an
Yes, you do.
And that's what does it, is my tone. I'm sending a tone. So I even say that before I get people to communicate, before we have a conversation. If you go, hey, you're setting the tone for what's coming next. So they could feel my love pour over them before I even began to speak. They knew what was coming. So they felt safe because they can feel me. And that's it. That's what intimacy is. Can I feel you? Even an intimate conversation.
You know, I just had a thought and want to make a suggestion. You tell me if it works. This Sunday, when everybody's over and it's Mother's Day and your wife or significant other is preparing a meal, I want you to just walk up to them from behind, give them a hug from behind, and just say in their ear,
Exactly. And I love that. That is exactly what I have my clients do. And the thing that I ask them to do even before that, if they're going for the pro, is to have that look at their partner first from a distance and just go, see them from head to toe and take them in. Exactly. That way, when you get there, you're already in your zone. You're bringing it to them instead of trying. Whenever you find yourself trying, just come back to connecting with yourself and your partner. You can't try to throw that guy, Joe, the football on the field. You have to connect with him and it's smooth once you're there. I love that.
And it is a real art form, to whether it's throwing the ball or having an intimate moment with somebody. And we're not, now when we're talking about this intimacy, we're not talking about a prelude to sex. We're not talking about any of that. This is just one human to another human and giving them the understanding that you care for them. Am I okay with that?
Absolutely. I would say intimacy is sportsmanship.
Okay. No fouls allowed.
Well, fouls are allowed, because when you're on a team, fouls happen. Even the best players and the best teams. I always use the example. Picture them they're at the Super Bowl. And Joe dropped the ball. Can you imagine being the guy who drops the ball at the Super Bowl? Imagine it, if you think about it like a relationship, you're going, oh my God, they never want to see me again. They're going to be mad at me forever. so it's that trust that even when fouls happen, you're still part of the team.
Yeah, that happened when I don't know if you follow football like I do, but
I don't follow it at all.
but during the Seahawks Super Bowl year, right at the beginning of the game, Peyton Manning was going to take the snap from center. He was like on his own 7-yard line, and the ball went over his head into the end zone. And so he had to go chase it down, and they got a safety out of it. And you would have thought, and that, you know, this is Peyton Manning, who was a great Hall of Fame quarterback, but you'd have thought that people would have been upset with him. But no, they rallied around him because they believe in him and they believe in the mission that they're on, even though
because they're part of a team. And it's that mindset is what the whole team practice is for. Otherwise, they're never going to forgive Peyton. They're going to be, I can't believe he did that one time. So when couples come to me and they'll be like, how do we get over that betrayal? A great example is Peyton.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. When you are committed to your team, you're going to know that things happen and you're going to go, okay, we're going to review this. And I even have a format for how you review after a game, a communication technique to review after the game that you can do after everything. And it starts with appreciation, because that's the best thing you can do for your relationship and yourself at any time, is share appreciations. You want connection. Sometimes we try to have connection by talking about traffic, boss, news. And if you want to have connection, just share an appreciation. Kevin, I so appreciate our conversations, and that I can just show up and we know we're going to have a great conversation and there's so much to talk about. And we have intimate conversations.
We do. And the more, and I know that, see, we've planned this episode to the smallest T. No, I'm kidding. We just get on it because I feel like you and I have a connection that is solid, and I can tell you and say anything to you, and I feel the same about you, and so it's a good feeling to have that just with another human being. And I encourage everybody to engage in that with your grocer, with your bus driver, with whoever it is. Just have an engaging conversation, even if it's just, oh, you want fare? Whatever it is, just be kind.
Yeah. And that takes practice. It takes practice to be interacting with somebody, because we're walking around defensive, especially after these past few years, and people are in a hard time. So people are walking around defensive. So what I encourage people to do along that lines is to say, hey, the word hey specifically. There's all kinds of studies that have been done on what words engage people and make people feel like you're approachable. And hi is not one of them. Interesting, hey? But the word hey, if you go, hey, so I encourage people who feel shut down or like they're not connecting to, whenever you make eye contact with someone, anyone, just go, hey, hey, hey. It's non-confrontational. They don't have to respond. It just gives you practice letting your voice out when you're with somebody, because that's what takes practice. And I feel like that's what so many people would practice with me, is just breathing and being comfortable in the presence of somebody else who cares, and being around somebody who cares feels vulnerable.
I do the same thing when we're talking about email. Rather than dear Amy, rather than hi Amy, it's hey Amy. That has a completely different feel when they read that than a dear or a hi, and it just has a much more intimate feeling to it.
And that's what we need, is connection. I'm always looking for the connection. How to connect with yourself is to make those sounds. And it makes your brain stop spinning, and it's a positive pulse. So even if you're thinking negative thoughts and you make that sound, you're putting a positive thought, a vibe into your body. So I encourage people to make this sound.
By the way, if you'd like to make that sound with Amy, you can do that right now by giving us a call. at 425-373-5527 or toll free 888-298-5569. It's sitting right up there on your screen, and Nathan is chomping at the bit to take your call so that we can put you on the air and talk to you. Now stop it, don't be frightened. She's very kind, and it's if you have a question, she'll be able to help you with it and to answer it. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was, how do you help people when the trust has been broken in an extramarital affair?
Okay. Remember, we were just talking about that football Peyton. We were just talking about Peyton Manning.
Yes.
And how his team ultimately knows that we're going to get over this because we are part of a team. So what I have people do is to start by not talking about it. Crazy as that is, what people do when there's a betrayal is they go, we have to talk about it. We have to talk about it. We're going to talk it to death. Because that's what's available. As we go to therapy, we go talk about it so that we feel heard. But the main thing I want people to feel is connected. And words make us feel defensive. While you're listening, you're going, how did that? Right. So first come back to connection. So what I have a great example about a couple who came to see me after a betrayal, and we need to talk about it. I'm like, yeah, we'll talk about it. Don't worry. I'll tell you what, we're going to talk about it in 1 week from today. We're parking it. This is what I call it, is leave it in the locker room. It'll be there. Trust that you're part of the team first. We'll deal with it. First, we're going to have a practice and we're going to get back to connection. So if there's a betrayal, I say, trust that you're still part of the team and that I'm going to help you unpack that betrayal. First, let's get into connection. So I have them agree to not talk about it. And we're going to huddle every day. Just make that sound 3 times. On the first day, we're going to make that sound together. On the second day, he's going to hold her, or she's going to hold, one of you is going to hold the other from behind and make that sound. On the third day, you're going to do a whole body huddle, which is clothed in the living room. It's where you make a physical, intimate connection with the whole body while you make that sound. One of you is a giver. One of you is a receiver. And then on day 4, I have them switch and do it the other way. And then on day 5, I add the next level of my work, which is where we add, I'm not giving away my favorite tools here, where we add what I call my favorite sensuality tool. And it's, even if you just use a piece of clothing and you're just dragging it across, giving another element, and they're sharing what I call, I've renamed sex, sharing sensual pleasure. And this gives them a place to begin and a place to grow and explore. And that is what was missing beforehand. So that's what I do, is I have them park it. And then when they come back after a week where they're going, what? We're not talking about it. When they come back after a week and I say, okay, let's start with a huddle. And now let's talk about that package we left in the locker room. And that package is so much lighter. Because that package that's in that reason that there was that betrayal is because they weren't connecting. They weren't sharing intimacy that was working for both of them, emotional and physical. And this, my program, the work that I do mixes the emotional and the physical, so that then we can sit down and say, let's talk about that. And they both said at that time, they were like, okay, we get it. And we don't want to talk about it yet. Because it was just going to bring up the stuff. They could feel they were in the middle of it. Actually, that couple that I talk about, when they came up for their meeting on their 7th day, they were in bed. Exactly. And I went, oh my, literally, I just went, oh my. And they both did it. Like they were being comical. They both went, So that's how I look at a betrayal. There's no fault. There's no shame. There's 2 people in it. One person probably, and you can't ask for it. Why didn't you come to me? Why didn't you tell me? I was. What am I supposed to do? Beg and say that the intimacy that we're sharing isn't fulfilling for me? How do you say that? How do you fix that? I get that. That's why I'm here. I help people learn how to start, what moves they have to make, how to practice throwing the ball back and forth, how to give each other sensual pleasure, and how to share it, because that's what we really want to do. Intimacy is sharing yourself.
Isn't it? Maybe it's just me, but does it have to do with the fact that when the trust is broken, you feel like you're not on the team anymore, and that you're on the outside, and that you're not sure that your teammate who was your teammate is no longer your teammate, and that now you're separating teams. And
May
so
I? I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to make it easy. You build your team on top of that trust. And there's always a space in between the two of you, because you're two different people. So there's always going to be breaks in trust. These things are going to happen. You know, I've talked to couples who've considered a break in trust that she was a half an hour late. And the other thing that we do, I'm going to share in session number 6. We actually come up with a plan. Then you have an intimacy game plan. Then you know what you're showing up for. Usually if there's been a betrayal, it's because they didn't have a plan. They didn't have what I call rules of engagement. How did I break the rules if we never wrote the rules down? We agreed to just get married, or we agreed to get into a relationship, but we never made how often are we going to play? How are we going to practice? What if I want something different than you want? What's going to happen if our jobs change, our positions change?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, most of the time we get married and we're just kids. We have no earthly idea what we are looking for, and all we know is what we have observed from ourselves and the relationship we've had with them, but we don't know where it's going to go from here. So that's where you come in.
I am hoping that this plan becomes the plan that everybody builds their relationship on. You were saying something about a prelude to sex. Oh yeah, hugging, holding your partner from behind, and how it's about intimacy and not a prelude to sex. And I wrote it down because I wanted to talk about. Are you ready? Can we talk about it on the radio? You're awesome. Can we talk about foreplay? Can we?
But first, we need to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about your forearm and your backhand. No, wait, that's different. We're going to talk about foreplay. Foreplay for the fun of it. And by the way, if you do call in, and Nathan, who has his finger on the 7-second delay button, will dump us if we say something that's out of line, and we're not going to have to. We're going to be good. So you're listening to Positive Talk Radio. We're talking with Amy Culler. Go to amyculler.com. We are going to be right back after these quick messages. Hello, everybody. If I could have your attention, please. I have an important announcement to make just for you. As you may know, PTR is heard and seen on radio, KKNW, and now Kixie, several websites, podcasts, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and most social media. At PTR, we believe in working together to make the world a better place, and because you're listening, we know that you're dedicated to the same. So we'd like to support your efforts by offering an outstanding multimedia package for you at a deeply discounted rate. As our partner, you'll receive commercial creation, both video and audio, at least 10 commercial plays per week, a monthly show to highlight your business and passion, exclusive website positioning with links, video shorts for social media, commercial plays on all shows, podcasts, KKNW, and Kixie. Your commercial is embedded into each episode and as a podcast is sent to over 50 different platforms. All shows are performed live and sent to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and stay there forever. Your podcast episodes are provided to you to use as you see fit. This one-time offer is only $250 a week based on a 13-week commitment, and as our partner, we are vested in your success. and we'll do everything in our power to make it happen. However, there are limited spots available, so don't hesitate. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro, and let's get the ball rolling.
When you want to say more than words communicate, you can with flowers. Your custom boutique floral studio in Bothell, Washington is anaturaldesign.com, connecting you to nature through the language of flowers. Where your people are is where our flowers are beautiful. Your success is our goal. anaturaldesign.com at your fingertips today.
Hey there, I would personally like to thank you for making Positive Talk Radio part of your day. Whether you like podcasts or the radio show, we're glad to have you along. I'd love to hear from you with thoughts about the show and ways that we can make it even better. You are the reason we do these shows, because the more people we can touch, the better we can make the planet and our time here just magnificent. Please contact me, Kevin@kmmedia.pro, with any thoughts, comments, or suggestions, and thank you for being in my dream. And welcome back, everybody, to Positive Talk Radio. My name is Kevin McDonald, and we've got a great guest with us today. Her name is Amy Culler, and it's two things. First of all, we just played a commercial for A Natural Design, and she is a wonderful floral designer. And you can go to anaturaldesign.com, and because it's Mother's Day weekend, by the way, if you are sitting in your car going, holy Moses, it's Mother's Day weekend and I haven't done anything yet, you're in big, big trouble, my friend, because everybody is going to be very, very busy. And but what you can do is go to anaturaldesign.com, and there's a code that you can put in, which is capital P, capital T, capital R 20, and you'll get 20% of your order and off. And you need to be in the Kirkland, Bothell, east side area to get that done. And Amy, you wanted to mention something while we were talking there.
Nope, I'm good.
Oh,
I just didn't realize. I always forget things like Mother's Day.
I know. Well, that you can get into big trouble if you, like you've got a couple of kids. And
can I share my? I'll share my recipe for success that I've given to hundreds of wives and husbands.
Yes, please.
I did it myself. My husband was a very busy man. So when we had an anniversary, Mother's Day, I don't remember what it was. He looked at me and he said, I'm so sorry. I don't have a gift for you. I've been so busy. And I'm like, oh, don't worry. I have something for you that's perfect for both of us. And it was early on in our marriage. And I gave him crepe pans, high-end super crepe pans. And then in the other box was all the ingredients with a recipe. So for every holiday, birthday, anniversary, Mother's Day, he makes crepes. And it's Mother's Day weekend. So even though he's my former husband, we'll still get together and he'll be making crepes. So it's perfect.
And Nathan just said I can't believe this. Nathan just said he made crepes for the first. So are you Nathan? Are you French or something or what?
I can't believe how easy they are to make. I always thought, with like the fancy name and all of that, it would be like, all right, this delicate process. But no, it's just like flour, eggs, oil, and you slap it onto a pan for like 2 minutes and they're done. And you can do basically whatever you want with them. You can make savory crepes. You can make sweet crepes. It's quite a good food.
And such a treat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They don't taste very good by themselves, but that's of course, a matter of opinion, but once you put stuff on them, it's a whole world of
Yum.
Good, like French taco type stuff.
Well, it's like a burrito. You can roll flavors into it and different fruits and things like that, and you just wrap it up and put a little stuff on it, and it would be good. It would be really good.
Squeeze of lemon and powdered sugar is my fave.
Ooh. See, I did a banana, Nutella, and peanut butter one the other day, and there's a great place up in Bellingham. I'd always get like a chicken pesto was my favorite there.
Ooh, nice.
Ooh, very nice. And by the way, I want to thank Nathan because he just gave us a lesson in FCC regulations, and it really is quite an interesting thing when you start talking about the subject matter that we.
I wouldn't even use the words that they have in their description. I think the words they have in their description are like, ooh, that makes me queasy.
Yes.
Yeah, we're good.
So we promise to be on our best behavior. But before you go, Nathan, let's get out the phone. Let's give out the phone numbers one more time and have somebody give us a call.
Sure. If you want to give us a call for the show, just give us a call locally at 425-373-5527. We have a toll-free line as well, 1-888-298-5569. And remember, the FCC regulations, let's keep it rated PG if you have any questions for the show.
Absolutely. This is about intimacy, not about parts, as it were. So there. So Amy, we were going to talk about foreplay.
Yes, may I?
You may. Well, I don't know. May you?
I can. I even looked through the whole FCC terms, and I can talk about it better than they can.
Oh, good.
What was I going to say? You know, the biggest thing, one of the things that I help people with the most is a sexless marriage, which is usually when there's been where a betrayal comes from, might I add. And the biggest thing that people say to me is, where do we start? And I talk about initiating. So I'm going to talk about people think that they start with foreplay. So they talk starting with an initiating. That's where you begin the game. And I'm just going to give a quick description here. Initiating, the word initiate means to start. And an initiation is also a secret ritual that you would do with somebody to admit them to a club. That's an initiation. So I create rituals by doing, we huddle together. And then we do that whole body thing. And then we do this move and this move, just like a football team. They always start in their same positions, and then the game can unfold. So that's the initiation. And then after that comes foreplay. And I just wanted to share that because that's where so many people think that they start, but they start with initiation. And when I talk about foreplay, I talk about that as the appetizer. That's the warm up. It's the warm up before the game. It's how we find out what we're in the mood for. Just like in an appetizer, you might be going, and maybe you're listening. Okay. Hope people are listening to this. Maybe you're like, I don't know. I'm not in the mood. I'm not hungry. That's what I replace that with, because your libido is another word for appetite. So you go, I'm not hungry. Okay, but I'll go to the restaurant with you. and then once you're around, then when you're around food, you start to get hungry. You're like, So the foreplay is the appetizer. And if you look up foreplay, the dictionary definition for it is, it's the activity before intercourse, which means it's the sex before the sex, which is why it's so confusing. And if you look at the social implications of what foreplay is, it's something that he does to her to get her ready for penetration or sex. But that means, and the reason why women are always going, I need more. And he's always going, what do I do? What do I do? Is because he never gets it. So in my program, it's something that he gets too. That way he knows what it is. It's about whole body, getting in the game, showing up, allowing it to be about you. And that is my favorite part of everything that I do. It's that getting in the mood, sharing what you're in the mood for, because we're two different people.
You know what you know what I really enjoy about what your work, and this is even pre foreplay. I want to give you an understanding of how men work, at least how I work. We work with anticipation. If we find out, and if we mark on our calendar that we are planning on having a rendezvous with my significant other on Tuesday, and it's only Sunday, I will look forward to Tuesday all day, Sunday and Monday, getting ready for Tuesday. And you have a little exercise that you do with that anticipation that has to do with a candy dish and candies. Would you explain that, please?
Oh, that's awesome. Anticipation is the best aphrodisiac. So I really like to have
It's way cool. You know what I mean? It's really cool.
And people need to initiate, and people say it, and people have a hard time with initiation. Well, usually there's one person who initiates, and that's the physical person, and the other person is more emotional. So that emotional person prefers to be desired, lets the other person start it, and it's not always the man and the woman, just letting you know. So that other person has a hard time, and in the moment we have a hard time asking for what we want. And especially if you know what you want, or how do you ask for it? You can't say, I want you to do this to me and then this to me. It's just not comfortable. So what I have people do is to initiate with a candy dish. So that if you're going, I want some, you just put a little candy in the dish. And then if your partner wants some too, they can put a candy in the dish too. And then boom, we got us a game going. Then we can start to look forward to it. And you can take that further. You can start to give meaning to your little candies. You can start to use a licorice. Like I say, he can have a lollipop if I can have licorice. Oh, that's
I love that, because what that does is it just builds anticipation, and also it creates clear communication, so it doesn't end up being a miscommunication. You said that we could. No, I didn't. I never said. You know what I mean?
It's playful. And one of the first couples that I did this with so many years ago called me laughing one time. All I could hear was them shaking with laughter on the phone because their grandchildren were there eating their bowl of candy. And I'll share that I had, one woman, and he kept putting things in the dish and going, we're going to have this wild night. And they name it, black jelly beans mean this one, and red jelly beans mean this one. You can name it for whatever you want. And he kept getting mad at her because she was just eating. Every time he'd put it in the bowl, she was eating it. So she asked her, why do you keep eating it? And she's like, I'm not home tonight. But she didn't tell him that. She just kept eating the candy. And it's the playful element too. People, and I understand why they take their sex life so seriously, but it's the playful element. When the coach says to the football team, go out there, he doesn't say go out there and win. He says go out there and make it a great game.
Yep. And then if you were on my football team at halftime, if the first half of the game you didn't play very well and you didn't follow the game plan very much, at halftime you got corrected, and so that you could do better the second half of the game. So I don't know how that impacts intimacy in any way, but that's just how my football team worked.
It does. I have a saying. I got a saying for everything. E.g., PG. Every game is a practice game. Every game is a practice game. And I have had couples call me where the guy has said to me, something happened. And normally she would have just been so pissed, it would have ruined our whole weekend. And she got out of bed and he sort of sat there going, and then she looked at him and said, every game is a practice game. And he was like, oh, because that's exactly it. These things happen and you just got to get back into it. And that's what the practice is. That is what it is to have a practice. And the truth of the matter is whenever you put two people together, whether it's in business, a project at school, work, relationship, there's going to be a power struggle. That's human nature. So the other side of the power struggle, just like that football team, they go to practice just to get over that power struggle so that they can get to what I call the love ya man stage. And that's when you really have that trust that we're going to keep growing. We're going to know we're going to be able to get through every foul. We're going to keep growing and exploring. We're going to get better and better over time instead of we're going to hit something and fall off a cliff, which is how people feel. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to keep this together. I've talked to couples who've been married for 40 years who are still feeling that on the inside. I don't know if this is the right partner for me. We'll just go with it as long as we can. You've been together for 30 or 40 years and you're still feeling that way. Once they get in a system and they go, oh, on Wednesdays, we practice this in the living room. On Saturdays, we have a full game in the bedroom. Oh, this is good. Oh, and you mean one game is all about you and the next game is all about you? So you were talking, Kevin, you were saying, if I look forward to Tuesday, if I know Tuesday's our night, you're going to be looking forward to it on Sunday. Right. Imagine if you knew that Tuesday was all about you.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. Then you're really going to be looking forward to it. Uh-huh.
Yes, you will, by gum, unless Tuesday comes along and it's like, I don't think so. And
but even then, you show up for practice because you think that football player shows up for practice even when he's not in the mood.
That's true. You really have no choice. But if you're committed into the relationship, it's like people are married for 20 or 30 years and they don't really even know each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool that working with you, they can find out, and really begin to know each other a little bit better.
And get back into it because they know what's missing, but they don't know how to get back together. So and literally I've had people go, this is what was missing. And they've been with me for a week. Oh my God, this is what was missing. They come to me worried that they're not making for the rest of their lives after 30 or 40, 20, 30 years. I don't know how much longer I can do this. There has to be more to life than this. Oh, right. This is what it is. And I want it with you. How do I start it with you and let go of all of that betrayal and frustration from the past? I'll help you do that.
I wish. Go ahead.
I look at people and I go, you've made it this far without a plan. Wait till you have a plan. You're going to be so excited for the next 20 years.
How do you work with people? And there has to be a way. When one of them is closed, the other one is open, but one of them is closed to new ideas, to emotional understanding about how to open themselves up. They never did it as a kid. Their family was very closed. And I don't know this from personal experience, by the way. But the family was closed. It was like if they had an argument, they went to bed and nobody remembered the argument the next day. They did, but they wouldn't say anything about it. And so they don't talk about things, and they're not used to talking about things other than on a superficial level. How do you get couples to communicate on a much deeper level when that's not even in their DNA? It doesn't appear.
Mm-hmm. And all these things, being in connection and sharing ourselves takes practice. So what I have them do is they go through these rituals, they huddle, they do this motion, they do that motion, and it just starts to build a connection in the space between them, emotional and physical. And then I have a communication technique that I call the ABCDs. Do we have enough time to go through it?
We do. We've got 9 minutes, 8 minutes.
Okay.
8 minutes.
A is appreciation. Kevin, I really appreciate this time with you. B is the best part. The best part is I woke up this morning knowing I was going to do this show with you today. C is curious. That's where you ask questions. That's where you get to know each other. So I'm curious to see how much we can grow this if we put our minds to it. And then D means date. Because in a partnership, we want to know, when is our next practice? When's our next game? When are we going to grow from this? What are we going to do next? So that date means, and we'll do it again on next Friday. That allows us to look forward to it, because in life we need anticipation. We need to look forward to something. That's how we get our guard up so that we can go into the game, or put our guard down if we need to.
You know, I was just thinking about that, and I don't think in my entire married life, and this sounds like something silly, but it would have been really a good idea for us to dress up and to have a planned evening out, like a date night. In 24 years, we never did that, not once. We might have gone out with friends and stuff like that, but we never did it with the distinct intention of having a date like we did when we were kids.
And I hear from so many women that that's what they want him to plan for them, that they're taking care of the kids. They're planning the kids' field trips and lunches and dinners. And so many women say to me that what they want is for him to go, I got us tickets to this. We're going to dress up to this. We're going to go to this restaurant here. I can't wait to be out with you, babe. I can't wait to be seen in the world and be proud of my partner. That's what it is.
Yeah, the closest I got to doing that was for one of her birthdays. I rented a limo and had her best friend and her spend the day at the spa. And I paid for both of them to spend the day at the spa. And then I picked up her husband, and we went out, and then we went out to dinner and stuff. And we had a great time and drove around the city and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't just she and I. We needed other people there to keep the conversation going.
And that, I can understand that. I can understand that. I think that would be normal for a lot of people. Because intimacy is, are you comfortable just being with each other? And if there's a little bit of friction in there, or a how do we come together, or a feeling like we can't finish what we started, then sometimes it's hard to really start it and make it a great night, because you're in that evening worried about how you're going to finish it.
Yes. That was always there. By the way, I just love talking to you, and I hope listen, folks, if you enjoy talking and listening to Amy and I talk, drop us a line. Let us know. Call Amy or email Amy at, I assume it's Amy at amycolor.com. Is that right?
That's right. And it's color, COLOR, just like red, blue, yellow.
And contact her. And we've got just a couple of minutes left. So I want to give you the forum to be able to say anything that you want to tell our audience.
I want to say that it's Mother's Day. I just want people to connect. If you're arguing or you're fighting, before you go in the door, just make that sound. When you see your partner trying to pick a fight with you, put your palm on your chest and just go, it's okay. I hear that you're angry. I hear that you're frustrated, and I'm right here willing to be with you because I love you. I don't have to battle it out with you. I have to be safe with you. And I'm happy to help people begin. It's time for love. So please reach out, share a free call with me. Let's get you back in the game. What the world needs now is you.
Well said. Well said. And I'd like to add one more thing to that. I was thinking about this today, as a matter of fact, because today's Friday, Mother's Day is Sunday. This is going to be the second Mother's Day that I have no one to buy anything for, because she passed away 2 years ago. And I just want everybody to think about that. And if you haven't talked to your mom in a while, pick up the phone, give her a call. Don't let another day go by. Don't let another Mother's Day go by without you talking to those that you love. And because one day they're not going to be here anymore. And then you're not going to be able to do that. And I don't want you to have any regrets.
You only get one mother.
Yeah. And what a mother she was too. So, Amy, I want to thank you so much for being here. You're a dynamo, and we're gonna have, and obviously we're gonna the universe is setting it up, so I may have no choice. You're gonna be back all the time.
See you next week.
that may actually be true. By the way, I'm excited about the show at 3:00 today on Kixie. So tune into that as well. Sisters J is going to be here. They're a wonderful singing duo, and their mother, who is also a podcaster and an author, and a really cool family, and that care about each other and love each other. And we're going to play a couple of songs, one of which is called Believin', and it is a world premiere. They're giving it to me to play before it's 2 weeks before it's actually going to be released. And so they're going to all three of them are going to be on the show at 3:00 on Kixie, 880 AM. And that's at 3:00 on 880 AM. So thank you, Amy Culler. I really appreciate having you here. Go to amyculler.com and get all the information that you can about her, and she'll help.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And by the way, take care of one another, because each other's all we've got. We'll see you at 3:00.